Welcome back to All Things Money. I'm David Blain, and tonight we're taking a look at part 2 of our series on the mid-year outlook. We've talked about the prospects for the economy as well as inflation and deflation. And I wanted to, before we get to our viewers and listeners' email and questions, I wanted to spend a minute back on inflation and deflation, a really simple little example that will help you understand it. Let's say you lived on an island and there was 10 goods available for purchase, and the total money supply in the economy was $10. There was only $10 on the economy. And so you would assume that each one of those goods and services, assuming that they were equal, would be $1. There's $10 worth of money in the economy, and there's 10 things you can purchase with it. And let's say that a $10 bill dropped out of a helicopter, and so now the money supply on the island had increased from $10 to $20. Now you would expect that the price of each one of those 10 goods that's available would rise to $2. That's inflation. The supply of money has increased in the economy, and so it's driven the price of goods up. Now let's take the reverse, and let's say one of the islanders loses a $5 bill. He drops it in the ocean or something, and so now the supply of money on the whole island is only $5. Well, under traditional economic theory, then the price of all those goods would drop from $1 each, those 10 goods, to 50 cents each, because now you have 10 products on the island. The money supply is only $5, so you expect now it to be 50 cents each. And that's what's called deflation. And so inflation and deflation are typically described as a monetary problem that have to do with the supply of money in the economy. Is that if you increase the supply of money in the economy, typically you have inflation. If you decrease the supply of money in the economy, typically you have deflation. And the Fed helps control this by either increasing the amount of money in the economy, either by printing more money or by the interest rates that they set, encourages or discourages people from borrowing money, which creates more demand for money. And that ties in perfectly with our first question that we had sent in that was asking about the money supply. And when we talk about the money supply, we're generally referring to the total amount of money circulating in the economy at any time. And you'll hear terms like M1, M2, M3, and these are different ways of measuring the amount of money that is available in the economy. So M1, which is the most common and restrictive, typically measures the total amount that is used for spending on goods and services. It's all the coins and currency held by the public, checking account balances, credit union draft accounts, and traveler's checks. And it's a key indicator for the amount of liquidity in the economy. M2 includes a broader set of assets held by the public. It consists of M1 savings plus savings deposits, which includes money market funds, small denominations, time deposits like CDs of less than $100,000, and balances in retail money market funds. So M2 is considered a key economic indicator as well, used to forecast inflation. M3 consists of M2, which included M1. So M3 is M1 plus M2 plus institutional money market funds, time deposits in excess of $100,000, repurchase agreement between depository institutions, and euro dollars. So it incorporates some of the institutional money that's out there. And interestingly, the Federal Reserve actually no longer tracks the M3, even though it was a very robust indicator of the money supply. The reason the Fed gave for stop tracking it was that it was too expensive. You would think that in a $14 trillion deficit that we would come up with a few dollars to track what many people considered the most important indicator of the money supply, but that's neither here nor there. So that's what we mean by M1, M2, and M3. There are different ways to track the money supply, and once again, as I was previously stating, the money supply is a good indicator When you have increasing money supply of inflation, a decreasing money supply indicates deflation. Our second question is another big one. A young listener is confused about the unemployment rate that we were discussing. And he wants to know, does a 10% unemployment rate mean that 10% of the population is out of work? And the quick answer is no. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics defines an unemployed person as someone who does not have a job, who has actively looked for work in the prior 4 weeks and are currently available for work. And once again, this is also a full-time job. And so people who are not working but want to work, who are waiting to be recalled or temporarily laid off, are also included in the unemployed. One interesting thing, the question we get a lot, is the people receiving unemployment compensation is not necessarily equate to the Bureau of Labor Statistics definition of unemployment rate. It also, so you have a certain number of people that are looking for work, that have been out of work, and the divisor of that number is the eligible working population. So it doesn't include every person, it includes only people of working age. It also does not include people who are discouraged, who have not been looking for work anymore. It's a little bit harder to get that information, but there are organizations and data providers that track this, and it's widely believed that the actual number of people that are unemployed is probably somewhere closer to 19 or 20% if you count people that are discouraged, that aren't even looking for work anymore, what we call underemployed people. For example, you have someone that has a PhD in physics, and the only job that they can find is a manual labor job. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they would be considered underemployed. It also does not include the people that are working part-time that would like to be working full-time. So the unemployment rate, you have to be careful and make sure you understand exactly what it indicates and what we're talking about. Of course, historically, we're looking at it currently just under a 10% unemployment rate, and no matter how you measure that, it's certainly a bad statistic that we want to improve on. Well, that concludes this portion of our mid-year update on the economy. Next week, we'll get into some of the updates on the individual sectors of the market. So for All Things Money, this is David Blain.
The proceeding was a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Inner Banks Media.